5 of the 1966 World Sportscar Championship brings us to one of Europe's fastest and most challenging circuits, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, for the 1,000 kilometers of Spa. Spa is an unforgiving 14-kilometer blast through the Ardennes countryside. Flat-out sections, daunting corners like Bernonville, Kink, and Stablo, and ever-changing weather make this one of the ultimate tests of speed, bravery, and endurance. The flag is down, and they're away to a splendid start. It is the Ford GT40 Mark II of John Whitmore and Frank Gardner, making a magnificent getaway from pole position, immediately asserting its authority over the Jaguar XJ13 of Richard Atwood and David Hobbs. The unmistakable white chaparral of Jim Hall and Phil Hill settles into third place. Already the drivers are threading these powerful machines through the Ardennes countryside at astonishing speeds. And by the time they reach Malmedy, Whitmore has opened a very useful advantage. The GT40 is looking remarkably composed as it disappears over the horizon. Attention now turns to the battle in the GT class, where the Essex Wire entered Ford GT40 of Peter Revson and Skip Scott is leading the category. A strong finish this afternoon would do wonders for their championship ambitions, but they have no time to relax. Tucked directly behind is the Scuderia Filippinetti GT40, with Herbert Miller and local favorite Willie Mares pressing hard, eager to claim valuable championship points on Belgian soil. Just a little further back comes the sister Ford GT40 of Jochen Neerpasch, keeping himself firmly in contention as this tremendous contest begins to unfold. Further down the order than many had predicted, the battle for the P2 honors is developing into a fascinating duel. Porsche's factory entry, driven by Hans Hermann, leads the class, with Dieter Glemser giving chase, while Jean Guichet's Ferrari has already begun to lose touch with the German machines in these opening miles. Over in the S2 category, it is Lotus that has seized the initiative. The Swedish pairing of Staffan Wahlström and Per Brandström lead what promises to be one of the closest contests of the afternoon, with scarcely a moment to spare over their determined rivals. And now, as the leaders complete the opening tour of this magnificent 14-kilometer circuit, John Whitmore continues to command the field. But with nearly 1,000 kilometers still to run, there is a very long way to go, and at Spa-Francorchamps, fortunes can change in the blink of an eye. Welcome back to the magnificent circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, where we are rapidly approaching the halfway point of this thrilling 1,000-kilometer contest. It has been a race full of excitement and changing fortunes. And at the head of the field, it is now the Jaguar XJ13 of Richard Atwood and David Haas that leads the way. The Italian marque now leads the P2 category in the hands of Jean Guichet, having managed to leapfrog the Porsche 906s through pit strategy rather than outright pace. The Essex Wire Ford GT40 has retained its class lead and, remarkably, continues to run amongst the overall front runners. In the S2 category, it is now the Lotus of Eichhorn and Steinemann that heads the class after a fine opening stint. Meanwhile, the GT3 division is producing one of the day's finest spectacles. The Jaguar E-Type and the home-supported Ferrari of Écurie-Francorchamps are locked in a captivating duel, exchanging the advantage as they thunder through the forests of the Ardennes.
Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Racing Pass. My name is Freddie and here we are at Spa, waiting for Peter Sutcliffe to finish his first stint of the race as we see one of our main rivals, the Essex Wire car, the number 4, already completing their pit stop, so we're a little bit behind the leader of our class. And here he comes now down the pit lane as another Essex Wire car goes past, has yet to stop, and he he might have missed his pit box there. Any moment now. There we go. Don't think anyone noticed. Right, let's crack on with our stint. Well, here we are in our familiar seating position in our Ford GT40 Mark 1 of Peter Sutcliffe in that lovely sort of almost British racing green with a hint of like blue in it. It's really, really unique. But we've been racing in this car for the majority of this season. We did decide to partner up with Peter Sutcliffe. He is local to where I am. So we have done the World Sportscar Championship at the start of the year, where we won the championship together, and we beat the likes of Richard Atwood in the Jaguar XJ13, David Piper in his Ferrari 365 P2. So that was a very good start to the year. It's a very close competition. And then we moved on to the World Sportscar Championship, still racing in the same car apart from the Targa Florio, and of course we started our Pacific Sportscar Championship races earlier on in the year as well. But as for this race, we are taking over from our AI Peter Sutcliffe. We are doing the second and last stint, as it's 1,000 kilometres, 2 drivers you can get away with, and that sort of seen the pattern with all the other cars as we are using up all the roads, and these are roads back then. As the tyres are still a little bit cold, we did a splash of fuel and some fresh tyres, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure what position we are in. I didn't qualify particularly well, so Peter Sutcliffe started, I think we started about 12th, and as we came to the pit stops, he managed to get us up to 6th place, which is pretty impressive. A combination of attrition and pit stop cycles, so I'm hoping for a podium in class again, and we are pretty close to the P2 class, which is the prototype 2-litre cars of the Ford GT Mark II, the Ferrari 330 P3, the Chaparrals, and so on, the start of the show really for 1966. But we're really not that far off their pace around here, as it is pretty much lots of fast sweeping corners and long straights, so and there doesn't seem to be much of a difference between those two classes. The P1 class, so that's your Ferrari Dinos, Porsche 906s, the Alpine A210s, Certainly not as quick as you would think, although I think they're deceptively slow in a straight line, because they seem a lot sleeker. You'd think they'd be a lot quicker than they are, but they're not these big, brute, big cars. They're actually very small, quite sleek, and as we found out, the Targa Florio, obviously the 906s and the Ford 206s, are much faster than what we were in our Ford GT40, because they can handle so much better. So this circuit definitely is not one they're going to thrive at, seeing as they were sort of back towards the back of the field. But I'm sure they're having a good battle in their class nonetheless. So yeah, hopefully, we'll get a podium, I like to think. I know that the Essex Wire cars have gone ahead, and they are our main competition at the moment, as we've got a Jaguar looks like has expired. But we'll make our way through so far a pretty empty circuit. I mean, as it always happens, there's about 50 cars running around, and I found none of them, which actually my process is quite happy, because I've been maxing out 100%, which is sort of the main reason why these days I don't do the first stint, because my computer really is not happy about the starting of these races when there's about 50 or 60 cars, which is understandable. It's quite an old machine now. When I say quite old, it's almost about a decade old. But this game's from 2012 and the computer's from about 2015, so it works. It works enough for the moment. I don't need to do anything. But yeah, just I need to little tips and tricks to get it to work. Because we're going to go a little bit wide. So close to that tyre barrier, that bale of straw. Goodness me, and he went through their front room. Because it's always good to really cut that corner there, and allows you to not run wide and up that hill. But I guess this is as good time as any to recap what we have done so far in our 1966 career mode championship season, so on. So like I said, for the British Sportscar Championship, we did that very early on at the start of this year, and we won that championship. It was very close between David Piper and Richard Atwood in the respective Jaguar and Ferraris. And then we moved on to our World Sportscar Championship, first time on the world stage. And we did reasonably well at Daytona. I had a few mistakes, but that was with Peter Sutcliffe and Bob Grossman. And we came third in class, and I think that was 10th overall, so that was pretty good. And then we improved on that at Sebring. We got second in class. I can't remember what our overall result was, but that was again with Peter Sutcliffe and Ings Ireland. And then at Monza, we managed to win overall and in class at a very wet Monza. So that's really put us on the front foot for this championship in our class. And then for the Targa Florio, bit of a sort of neutral race, because we didn't race in Peter Sutcliffe's car, because he didn't race it in 1966 at the Targa Florio. In fact, none of the front runners really, apart from a couple, one of the Ferraris 330 P3s I think did, but really it was the P1 class of car, so your Ford 206s, the Porsche 906s, and then the sort of sports and sort of road-going versions of cars, like the Alfa Romeo Giulia, Lotus Elan, I Baths, Triumphs, and so on. That was sort of their race, really. But one team was man enough to take a Ford GT40 to Targa Florio, and that's called Ford France. Yes, so we drove Ford France, and we drove with Bob Grossman again, and we got a 4th place in class, which I think just survived the Targa Florio was enough for me, and we got some points, but obviously those points don't go towards this car. So as it stands at the moment in our championship, we are on 22 points, leading the way, and then it's the Essex Wire of Revson and Gregory on 18 points, and then the other Essex Wire car of Thompson and Scott on 10 points. So it is still all to play for, and we still have, after Spa, we have the Nürburgring, then we have the Le Mans 24 Hour, and then we finish up in Hockenheim, which that race in 1966 didn't really take place, so I don't think the circuit was ready. But I think they still did race. I think all the 906s won it. As we come up to our first car, which is an Alfa Romeo. Was that a TZ2? But we'll make that race happen. So obviously in 66, a lot of the P2 class of cars, the Ford and Ferrari, they were only really interested in Le Mans. So even though Hockenheim was after, and even though Ford won Le Mans and the championship, Ferrari could have won the championship if they went to Hockenheim and raced, but they decided not to. So yeah, we'll take full advantage of that. And then of course we have our Pacific Sportscar Championship, which is a championship we've made up, which is a collection of races in the Oceania area of the world. So that is your races like the Fuji 1000 kilometres 966, as well as the Suzuka 1000 kilometres. Or was it the Fuji 12 hours? Suzuka 1000 kilometres. Obviously the race at Longford in Australia, that was a big one, and then 12 hours of Surfers Paradise in Australia. And then to make it 5 races, we added an additional race that hadn't happened, which is the Bathurst 12 hours, which we've already done. Didn't go too well. Just it's simple enough to say. But yeah, that is just a collection of non-championship races, and we thought we'll make it into a championship. A bit like the British Sportscar Championship, that was not an official championship, it was just a collection of non-championship races at the time. So yeah, so we've got those to do, and then of course we haven't started yet, but we've got a United States Road Racing Championship. And of course Can-Am started in 1966, which I think they started in October, does it? So we got all those to look forward to, even, not to look for. As well as there is going to be some scheduling changes, or at least content changing, because the original idea was that I was also going to do the Trans Am, because Trans Am also started in 1966, and we've done our first race at Sebring, because that was a double header of the 12 hours of Sebring and the 4 hours of Sebring, one being the World Sportscar Championship, one being Trans Am. But it is just going to be too many videos, more than I can do to a quality I'm happy to release. So we're going to bench our Trans Am series. We're just going to focus on sports cars for now, and then hopefully later on down the line, as we are doing a bit of grass cutting there for Belgium, we'll come back and do like a touring car career mode. But I'm happy to jump in and out, you know, if there's a special race, like the Sebring 4-hour one was as a double header, and I think there was going to be another double header with Trans Am and either the World Sportscar Championship or Can-Am. Then we'll do that as well. But I think we'll just do a couple of those races, and we'll just solely focus on sports car racing. And we'll get the season done this year, so we still have quite a few races to get through. So like I said, for the World Sportscar Championship, it is Spa, that we're here now. Nürburgring's next, then the big one, Le Mans, which we haven't worked out what car we're going to drive. I've got some thoughts. But maybe I'll put the question in our Racing Pass Discord. If you'd like to join, please do submit a request. The link will be in the description below, where we'll talk about obviously the racing series that I'm doing, as well as I've recently been doing a collection of videos on the latest Ultimate Release 2 update for the 2005 Formula 1 cars, as well as the 2005 endurance packs, tracks, cars, you name it. Just have a general discussion about stuff back in the day, as well as modern stuff, but it's all racing, it's all fun and friendly, as well as then I'll have some ideas that I'd like to pitch to you guys and get you involved in some of the videos, and if I remember, I'll try and release the video for Discord members a day early or so, but it's completely free. I'm not going to charge anything for that, so yeah, please feel free to join. I'll put the question in there about what car we should drive for, because Peter Sutcliffe, his car doesn't originally qualify for Le Mans, and he drives with someone else that escapes me at this point in time. So whether we follow that or we go and make our own, in fact no, I'm not going to save it for next time. Let's get the question now, because obviously I need to do the next race, and then we'll need Le Mans. Be ready for Le Mans, as we've got a Porsche 911 coming out fresh off the pits, and there's not really anywhere for us to go up Eau Rouge and ready on. So the idea is for Le Mans is that do we do a Le Mans test / qualifying and see if we can get his car to qualify, because it'll be good for our championship, as well as it'd be interesting to see who else qualifies and doesn't qualify. I don't remember off the top of my head how that qualification system works. I just assume that they just pick X amount of cars with the fastest times from each class, and then they go through, and then if anyone drops out or whatever, then they all get bumped up like that. Things that I think that makes sense. Or we leave it as it is, so whatever car's qualified, then other cars that will put into the race. But that does mean then we need to find another car to drive in. Ideally, I would like to be in a Mark II Ford GT40, But whether we think anyone's going to take us up, you know, and any cars that were there were the, obviously, Ford themselves, Shelby, and Holman Moody, which they have all pretty good driver lineups as it is. However, if you look on racingsportscars.com, you'll notice if you go down to the bottom of the Le Mans 24-hour 1966 car entries page, there's quite a few cars that didn't arrive, didn't qualify, didn't materialise, and there's quite a few interesting ones. So if I remember, there's a Ford GT Mark II that is linked to Alan Mann not turning up, as well as his modified GT40 Mark I's that were at Sebring. And then also the one that really interests me is a Ford GT Mark II that was entered by Scuderia Filippinetti, which we haven't really seen the car at this race, but it's in a lovely, it's not red but it's not pink, it's somewhere in the middle, and it looks really nice, and I think it'll look pretty cool on a Ford GT40 Mark II in that sort of pinkish red. And I think sometimes they had like a little bit of green around the nose, and I think that looked really cool, so I'm sort of leaning towards that. But I think I'll put this in a Discord chat. That's three options. Either we do the qualifying, that's two options, isn't it? Either we do the qualifying and try and get this car qualified, or we leave it as it is, and we'll then have the option for one of the other cars that didn't turn up, like the Alan Mann or the Scuderia Filippinetti, or I think that was, from what I can remember, or we upgrade our current GT40 Mark I and we'll do a Peter Sutcliffe GT40 Mark II and enter that in, even though we'd only get points obviously for them being in the P2 class, not in the S3 class, but to try and fight for an overall win at Le Mans would be pretty cool, but doesn't help our championship. Only one of these options helps our championship. But then, who's to say that the Essex Wire car is going to do well? Although they seem to do quite well at most races, and they probably will. So I'll throw these options up, and if I think of any other options, then they'll be in our Discord. So click the link, join this a security question, and then away you go. As we somehow we survived that was goodness me. Oh my goodness, we threw it all away. Does that mean we're close to the end of the race? This is what I always do towards the end of the race. Yeah, so that's that for the World Sportscar Championship. We've got some things to think about, and then just getting ideas and things ready for future releases. So the remainder of this year is really just going to be this 1966 season, and then I think I'm going to plan things differently for next year. I think I went on about this in the previous video or something. Apologies if I do keep repeating myself, but I forget what I say. If you haven't noticed, I tend to just wing it. I don't write anything down, so it's not really a script for all this, as we have behind us, lurking in the distance, that is the unmistakable Ford GT of an Essex Wire car. Now, either he's coming to lap me, which is a possibility after that moment, and he's closing on us at give rate a knot. I'm not particularly confident around these corners. That corner, it's sort of between gears, what this car wants. You can either have it in second, but it's really redlining it, or in third, but the car doesn't want to rotate as much. As he's right on us now with, I suspect, a couple of laps to go. There's no one to put out that jack yet. We'll get past that Triumph there. Oh, Austin Healey Le Mans Sprite, is it? I think. But let's defend this position. We'll get past this one, and he'll have trouble getting past it, so that saves us a bit of time. Yeah, I wasn't really watching the pits, although there's been a load of smoke already, so I've not really been able to see if if they hadn't pitted yet. One definitely pitted. Did the other one go past and not pit? We'll just have to find out. He's gaining on us again. I don't feel like I'm driving slowly, but clearly I'm not getting the max performance out of this car. Again, I probably keep forgetting, but there's probably a ballast on. I keep forgetting to have the ballast off, so I'm probably down a little bit, which is absolutely a racing driver excuse to say there's something else wrong. Other than that, I'm just slow. I mean, it's funny, it's all races I do at Spa, whether it's been on Gran Turismo or Assetto Corsa or Forza or iRacing, you know, any racing game, I always find myself doing quite well compared to all the other races. I'm not by any means, you know, a professional sim racer or even an amateur sim racer. And these days I really don't do much online. But I always find myself doing well at Spa. So I think I just find it hard to accept that perhaps I'm not doing so well today. But, yeah. This is all over the back of us, but we're not going to give him... We're not going to give him an inch. So make our way up to Blanchimont in a bit. Just at the end of this straight. Yeah, it's really like a double apexed left-hander that I just can't seem to get right. He's definitely got the speed on me. I mean, obviously with slipstream and everything, but overall, a quiet race up until now. This is going to go for a dive down at the source, but all defend. Park in the middle of the road. And there we have it, that should be it. This is it, and there we are. That is across the line in A position. So let's head to the final results. And as we look at the top 5 results overall, it was the John Whitmore and Frank Garner Ford GT Mark II by Alaman Racing who takes the win ahead of the usual suspects of David Hobbs and Richard Atwood in their Jaguar XJ13, and the Chapel D2 of Jim Hall and Phil Hill take 3rd place, while our main rival in our class, Peter Everton and Skip Scott, finish an impressive 4th overall, while the Noblet and Maglioli Di Tommaso P70 finish in the top 5. And as we look to the top 20 finishing positions, we can see that we finished in 9th overall and 4th in class, and the other class leaders are the Boucher and Baghetti Ferrari Dino 206 in 18th overall, and a very impressive 20th position for the Elan Sweden duo of Wallström and Brandström in their Lotus Elan. And now we look at the overall point scoring of this 1966 World Sportscar Championship season, and so far it is the Jaguar Cars XJ13 of Hobbs and Atwood who lead the way on 19 points, followed not too far behind of the Holman and Moody Ford GT40 Mark II and the Ferrari 330 P3 of Surtees and Parks. And as we look to the very competitive P1 class, it alternates between Ferraris and Porsches throughout the points tally, with the Ferrari of Sca-Farocchi Bandini on 24 points ahead of the Porsche 906 of Hermann Bozzetta and Mitter, who are slowly catching on 17 points. If we head to our class, we still currently lead on 26 points, but not too far behind now are the Essex Wire Corporation duo of Revson, Gregory, Thompson and Scott on 21 and 20 points respectively, and then a 10-point gap to the remainder of the field behind. And as we look to the S2 class, it's all still to play for, with cars only competing in a few events at a time. So with that, Elan Sweden Lotus Elan of Wallström and Brandström with 10 points, currently in 4th, with the 2 Auto Delta Spa Giulia TZ2s in 2nd and 3rd, and Porsche 904 still on 20 points at the top. And the same again for the GT class of cars, each car only really competing in 1 or 2 events. So with the Jaguar E-Type of Mike Merrick, who won Spa, is on 10 points, drawing with another 4 cars, and the Ford-Francorchamps Ferrari 275 GTB getting 2nd place there, drawing with another 4 cars on 7 points. So there we have it. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. I certainly did, returning back to our World Sportscar Championship series of our 1966 season, and I hope to see you next time at the Nürburgring 1000 kilometres. So thank you very much, take care, and I'll catch you next time.